Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Vermont House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. It is Thursday, February 16th, 2023 at 1:02 in the afternoon. We're here to take another look at H76. I think we have a new draft. Maybe we should go through that with Maria first. And then we'll start Kevin Mead from Vermont Captives and Jamie Feehan, and also from Deputy Commissioner Michael Stone and others. So, Maria, welcome. Thank you for coming in again. Good to see you as always.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back. So Andrew is kind enough, he's going to actually pull up the draft for me. I just came from another meeting without my laptop. I apologize. But excellent. So this is a draft committee amendment. It's a strike all amendment, so it includes all of the provisions. And the new substantive provisions are highlighted, and there are only two. So the first one, you can see the 75 days, that was a mistake. I failed to make that change based on DFR's proposal, so it's now in there. And then if you scroll to section 6, Andrew, a bunch of highlighting, this is the proposal that Sandy went over yesterday. That was that new language. And you can scroll down to actually see these are information that's submitted to the commissioner. For his or her review, it's beneficial ownership, sponsorship, or membership, so the commissioner can better understand the condition of the captive, its parent company. And then in terms of the confidentiality, any of the information, so licensing applications are confidential, and just expand it a little bit to include any updates or et cetera, to make sure that that applies. So those are the only two substantive changes to the bills introduced.
Okay. Any questions?
I had a question that actually I should have asked you yesterday, Maria, but the section that talks about the change in the percentage for the administrative fee, I might not have the technical terms right, administrative fee for the tax that gets collected.
Yes.
Going from 11 to 13, I think.
Yes.
So so that 2%, and this may be a Ways and Means question, but
Yeah.
that 2%, so where is that money now not going instead of, so if it's going to be collected by DFR for administrative purposes, is that money that's not going to the general fund?
I believe it's the general fund, but Sandy might need to confirm that, and she just did.
Yes, for just context of the amount of money, just for.
I can give you a little bit more context around that if you'd like.
So I think
sorry.
if there's any other questions for Maria before we bring Sandy up. And okay, thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Sandy Bigglestone, Deputy Commissioner, Captive Insurance for the Vermont DFR, for the record. To answer your question, so right now it's 11% and we're proposing 2% increase. That is money that goes directly to the general fund. And our law in 6014 transfers that percentage to the DFR to run our regulatory operations for the captive division. At the end of the year, there is an appropriation sweep back to the general fund. So it's sort of a net zero. If you were to think of it, we're getting it earlier upfront to help balance our budget so that at the end of the year, any shortfall that's covered by other divisions' revenue, then there will be more going back to the general fund at the end of the year, rather than, so we're asking for more upfront, and then, but it's all general fund related.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I think so. And I know we're not Ways and Means, but I guess my question is just in terms of, it sounds like you're saying that there's no difference in terms of the loss of funding a loss of revenue to the general fund.
Correct. And there's actually a net increase to the general fund, given the growth that's happened over the past couple years. And one of my statistics that I had presented to the appropriations this morning was that, and fiscal year 12 was just randomly picked because it's about 10 years. And for a long time, our premium tax revenue was sort of flat, which isn't bad. We still got about $24 million into the general fund. Now we're above 31 million. So since fiscal year 2012, it's about an $8 million increase to what is estimated to come in this year. So there's still a very large increase going into the general fund.
I wanted to understand that. Thanks.
Sure.
And the language, the new language that Maria just went over works for the department. It's what you were looking for.
Yes, it does. It updates. It's a meaningful update for us because it's information that we collect and in practice hold confidential. It's very important for us to be able to look at the holistically at parent companies and owners and members owning our companies. If there's any financial condition issues happening at the parent company, it could impact the captive. So that's how we regulate. It's information that we collect in our original licensing application, and we collect financial information for all the parent companies to assess their health. And then with the language about subsequent changes in that information from what's collected initially, again, we regulate primarily on the business plan and all of that information that's collected. And in practice, captive insurance company sets off with an approved plan from licensing, but can change that plan at any point to change its limits on a particular line of business, add a line of business. A parent company could change. So the law didn't recognize, inadvertently, it didn't recognize those changes subsequent to licensing. And that's a very important, meaningful update for us.
Everybody good with that? Okay. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
Welcome. How's everything in the kingdom?
I left it well this morning, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon again, everybody. Kevin Mead from Newport and the president of the Vermont Captive Insurance Association, and effectively here to express, both on behalf of the VCIA and the industry, our strong support for H76 that you have in front of you for consideration. And to talk generally about it, we believe that there is a bifurcation or perhaps a trifurcation in the market happening, which is that there is amongst some jurisdictions and domiciles kind of a race to the bottom. And we see this as we talk with our peers across the industry, where, for example, some domiciles issue a license on the day of application. Other domiciles are doing away with the need for regular examinations of the captives that are under their jurisdiction. And that becomes, frankly, a race to the bottom, because they're going to find a way to strip more cost and more effectiveness out of it and move towards the bottom. We view that as not being beneficial. The over 600 captives that are resident and domiciled here in Vermont view regulation and effective regulation and accessible regulation as a value add to them. It's something that adds to their business plan. So we strongly support anything that maintains that level of strength. And we view that that additional holdback that Deputy Commissioner Bigglestone spoke to about as being a part of ensuring that effectiveness. Another factor that I want to address in that, and it's present in 6017, is that there is then a pull-out from that goes to the Department of Economic Development, who support the expansion of captives, Vermont domiciled captives, nationally and globally. And Interesting thing about that, and please don't think it's a boondoggle because it's not. 10 days from now, Sandy and I and some of our colleagues get on various different jet planes. They won't let us all fly together. Actually, they would, but we're not. To head to Mexico City on a trade mission. And this has been set up for 3 years. It was on the plate before COVID and then got shifted. Found out about 2 months ago that the state of Hawaii did the same thing for their captive domicile in going to Japan. Obviously, there are time zone and cultural reasons for the linkage between Japan and Hawaii. And they took their governor-elect. He'd won the election, but was not yet inaugurated. And so other domiciles are doing this as well. An interesting factor about Vermont is one of the things that we do is we have that strong separation between economic development on behalf of the captive industry and regulation of those captives domiciled here. Other states blend those two, and we don't believe that's an effective way to do it in terms of maintaining that gold standard. So we're very supportive of both the increase in that holdback from the premium tax and the proportion of that going to the Department of Economic Development. And we believe that these changes, coupled with that, will position us to further enhance on that gold standard that we have here in Vermont. Thank you.
Any questions for Kevin?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We heard from the health department yesterday on stop loss in the healthcare realm, and specifically Blue Cross Blue Shield was brought up, and Sarah Teachout is here from Blue Cross Blue Shield, but you know, if you'd like to kind of weigh in on.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Teachout. I'm the Director of Government Relations with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont. And I rarely get to come to your committee, so it's nice to be here and meet all of you. Just quick high level about Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont, if you're not already aware. We are one of 34 Blue plans across the country. We are a not-for-profit, independent, single state Blue plan. So we only sell health insurance products here in Vermont to Vermonters. And our headquarters is in Berlin, which is just up the hill. We have about 400 employees there. And I can explain in more detail. I guess the one other thing I would say is that we sell health insurance in every single marketplace in Vermont, which is a little bit unusual. We offer plans on the exchange, the Affordable Care Act plans. We offer large group fully insured. We offer self-funded plans, of which the discussion here is just a tiny little sliver of. And we also offer for people over 65, Medicare Part D, Med Sup, and Medicare Advantage plans. So the full spectrum of healthcare offerings. I just wanted to talk a little bit in context, because I don't think you talk about the ACA that much here in this committee, to just give you a little bit of context about what has happened. And I'm going to do the highest level, briefest overview you can do. So when the Affordable Care Act came into effect, the state of Vermont chose to have an individual market, so people purchasing their own health insurance, and a small group market, which is any small employer, and it can be a business, it could be a not-for-profit here in Vermont, or even our small municipalities are buying their insurance through this exchange. And so we originally put those two marketplaces together to try and create a bigger pool. It was also a little bit in response to what had been happening before, which was a lot of instability in the individual marketplace because it was so small. A lot of those problems were fixed, corrected, improved by the ACA. The ACA had a profound effect on health insurance here and nationally, as you all know. And the biggest change was the subsidies that are offered for individuals. That really stabilized that marketplace. And so skip forward 2.5 years ago, I think we separated out the small groups from the individuals, and it really was a win for Vermonters. So the individuals have been able to draw down even more in federal subsidies, and the small businesses were able to lower their rates in that one particular year by 7% because they were no longer mixing their risk with that of the individuals. And there's a bill, it's coming here. I don't know if it comes to your committee, S54, that would continue that policy going forward for as long as the federal subsidies are in effect, so 2025. So this is a discussion I think we have all been having about how best to advantage Vermonters and offer them the best health insurance at the lowest rate, whether they're an individual or a small business. So the thing that I would tell you, we've done a lot of changes in the marketplace, but in the big picture, the biggest issue facing Vermonters and people purchasing health insurance is the cost. It's not the structure of the marketplace. It's not who's in and who's out and what we're merging and unmerging. Those are all important issues, but the biggest issue is cost. And so I think everyone here knows that. And it's right now the two factors driving the price of premiums the most in Vermont are hospital budgets and pharmaceuticals. So that's where we really need to focus our attention to address the healthcare issues for small businesses and individuals purchasing. And we work on those, I think, all the time up in the healthcare committee and in other places. So quickly to jump to Blue Cross's product, which is a captive. It's not just for small businesses, it's for businesses of all sizes. And it's just one more piece to the puzzle and a different option for small businesses here in Vermont. Some of them can take advantage of it and it's very useful. Many choose not to, or it doesn't work for them and they're purchasing on the exchange, or they're self-funding in a different way with a different carrier. And it's not as simple as businesses choosing between the exchange and this self-funded product. There's a lot of other avenues for small businesses, small employers to get insurance. And so what we're seeing is employers who've never offered insurance before to their employees because it was too expensive purchasing this product. So we think that's beneficial. We've seen employers who have moved to Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont from other self-funded health plans that you wouldn't typically think of here in Vermont. And we think that's also beneficial for Vermont. So it's not as simple as in and out of the exchange. And I guess I could go into a lot of detail, but I don't know if you really want a lot of detail. We think that we really do need to focus on the big issues facing employers here in Vermont when they're trying to get health insurance for their employees, and this is not one of them. This is a very small impact overall, but the detrimental impact to the captive insurance marketplace, which is far bigger than Blue Cross and small employers here in Vermont, I think would be a far more substantial impact. There are lots of employers from all over the country using our captive divisions offerings and domicile here that would be impacted by, I realize there's no draft on the table, but a ban on stop loss for captive insurance. I think that the impact would be far bigger than Blue Cross and the small employers in Vermont. And I think that would be the most worrisome aspect of this proposal.
What would Blue Cross Blue Shield do if we remove the stop loss?
Right off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it would be more impactful to the small businesses who would have to look for another option. They may choose to move into the exchange, but they may go and be self-insured with another health insurance company that's not Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont. So
would you be able to domicile in another state?
I think we could, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few options. Captives allow for a lot of different approaches.
So it wouldn't really solve the problem. It would just, it would create a new problem for our captive industry.
Ultimately, yes.
Questions for Sarah? Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sorry, so for the plan that Blue Cross serves now or offers now, how many customers do you have that actually use stop loss?
I don't know the exact number in it. It is not a huge part of our portfolio. I'd say it's relatively new, and it's still pretty small, fewer than, I'd say, maybe 5,000 lives. It's pretty small.
Is that just Vermont, just to be clear?
That's just Vermont.
And those are users, that's not employers though.
Those are members, yes.
How many, I thought yesterday there was testimony that there was only one stop loss provider, and that was Blue Cross Blue Shield in the state right now. It's not.
That's not true.
There's your stop loss. It's just that they're the only health.
Oh, okay.
We're the only domiciled health insurer in the state. Maybe that's what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Sandy, would you like to weigh in on this discussion as well?
Thank you. I agree this is an important issue to talk about, so I appreciate the conversations that we've been having over the past 24 hours, I'd say. And Sarah did a great job describing how the ACA has shifted the marketplace. And I can tell you that since then, it has made self-insured plans very attractive to corporations and organizations of all sizes. Today, it's a very important feature for organizations that in their social mission want to take care of their employees the best way that they can. My understanding is that these corporations and organizations aren't using self-insured plan with a stop loss option as a way to get around the ACA mandates or state mandates. They very much comply. And from the plans that we see here in our captives, we make sure that they comply.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I think we're having a problem with our audio on YouTube, so I think.
Okay. We need